comforting words are not always in our best interest. Truthful words are what we're looking for in the house of the Guru. If you've got a friend that's kind enough to bear your enmity by telling you the truth, we keep that friend close. Because we have therapists now telling you deserve to feel this way. We've got friends, well-intentioned friends, that have got a little bit of education, aside from the Guru's mat, and they go, leave her alone. If you had been through what she had been through, you'd feel the same way. We have people unintentionally fanning the flames of self-loathing through this victim mentality. And so I say again, you can sit in self-loathing and have hatred for those that have wronged you with good reasons and with people around you that will support you in that endeavor, or you can choose to live in Anand. Sadguru Sabanada Palamanayada Tisda Bura Kyo Hoy. That if we're on the path of the Guru, if we're under the umbrella of the Guru's sanctuary, nothing that has happened to you or will happen to you is bad. It's all pala. And I can hear everyone's minds, even my own, saying, yeah, but what about this? Yeah, but what about that? We can go to individual instances. What we're saying is the way that things have gone down should not have gone down in exactly this way. And that if you were writing the pen of destiny, you'd have a better understanding of the way things should have been written. In other words, the hukum of Vaheguru is wrong. That's essentially what we're saying. Why would you choose to exercise your right to live in hate when you could just choose love? परम सत्कारयोग गुरु खालसा साध संगत जी, गज बज के फतेह बुलाओ। वाहे गुरु जी का खालसा, वाहे गुरु जी की फतेह। We're all blessed to be in the company Sri Guru Ramdas Ji Maharaj, Sodi Sultan, Tan Tan Sahib Sri Guru Ramdas Ji Maharaj in their 11th form. That as we reflect upon that Shabad, as we vibrate upon that Shabad, that some small part of us from within opens up. And we realize that actually when we come into the Guru Card, actually we're entering that part within ourselves that the world seems to deny to us. Vipag hua Gur Sant Malaya, as we come into the Sangat, Vipag hua, by great good fortune in this way, Gur Sant Malaya, that to have met the Sangata, Prab Abhinasi Kar Mein Paya, we realize that as we come into the Guru's house, as we sit upon the Guru's floor, as we sit in the Guru's sanctuary, actually we're recognizing that that sanctuary exists deep within. Prab Abhinasi Kara, within the home of my own self, Kar Mein Paya. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, if there is hatred within our own hearts, if there is anger within our own hearts, then there is no room for Parameshwar Vaheguru. When we hold within our own homes anger and hatred, then within that same home cannot exist or cannot be a conscious understanding of that which exists within that place. And so then the question comes to mind that perhaps we never ask. Should I choose hatred? Why is it that we never frame it that way? Because we assume that it's out of our control. We assume that this is something that happens to us, that hatred and enmity and anger, these things are things that happen to us. And insofar as we are viewing these things as events that occur to us that we have no control over, when in fact they're reactions, they're our choices. Events might occur that we get angry with. People might do things that make us consider them as our enemies, but the events of themselves are not such. In fact, those are choices that we make. And the question then arises that if Parameshwar Vaheguru cannot be consciously, that we can't be consciously aware of that within us, if we are conscious of hatred and following that path of anger, then the question then arises is, should I choose hatred? For some, that statement that we have a choice in this, it might hit a nerve. As we've spent so much of our time angry, or there are those that we care about in our elder generation that have spent so much of their life telling us about their torment and their torture, that the thought that they've chosen this path is something that we can't accept. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat, what does Guru Sahib say? Guru Sahib says, Jo main kiya, so main paya. Dos na dije, avarjana. They say, I don't do doshi. I don't blame anybody else. Jo main kiya, whatever I choose, whatever path that is mine, that I walk, jo main kiya, so main paya. That is a path that I have chosen. Dos na dije, avarajana. Guru Sahib is giving us his choice. That if you hold enmity within your heart, that this is your choice. And if we look at our Guru as our role model, if we look at our Guru as the perfect path that we should walk, in the Mangal, we got a glimpse of the character of who our Guru is. What is our Guru? What is the nature of our Guru? Satguru Data Dayal Hai. Satguru Data Dayal Hai, Jisno Daya Sada Hue. Satgur Andaro Nirvair Hai, Sab Dekhe Brahm Ek Soe. Maharaj says Satguru Data Dayal Hai. That Parameshwar Vaheguru, our Sadguru, they are the Data, they're the giver, Dayal. They are forever compassionate. Satguru Data Dayal Hai. How are they this way? Jisno Daya Sada Hoy. Sada. They are forever and always this way. It's not the case that if someone gives them a bent nose, that they change in their innate nature. That their nature doesn't change. That other people and their actions, and other sevak and those disciples and their actions, or other kings of the world that are still beneath the Guru, but kings nonetheless, and their actions, that in spite of all of those things, the Guru will always be dayalu. They will always be compassionate. Satgur Andaro Nirvair Hai. Parameshwar Vaheguru, our Guru, Andaro Nirvair. They are completely Nirvair. What does Nirvair mean? Vair means to have hatred, to have enmity within your heart. To have that feeling that this is my opposition. Parameshwar Vaheguru Satgur Andaro Nirvair Hai. Sab dekhe Brahm ek soy. For the Guru, they have no vary with anyone or anything. Sab dekhe Brahm ek soy. They look upon all as the light of God. Akho Satanam Sri. You see, for the Guru, there is a teaching that we've heard, and we've heard it before, and it will sound familiar, but try and listen to it as if it's the first time we've heard it, Sadh Sangat. This one Sikhya is the root, is the seed of the root of all things in Gursikhi, in Gurmat. This teaching can be said in 2 seconds, but the Sikhya of this teaching from the day it was brought into this world continues to flow and continues to expand. And what is that teaching? Be Ekka Oankaar. That there is only one Oang. From that one came that sound, Oang. And from that sound, that vibration emanates all of existence. In other words, we are all one. When we say Ek Oankaar and we look at the boss, British of Sikh students, British Organisation of Sikh students, we look at the posters that have been floating around for decades. It says, there is one God. And on a sort of interfaith conference, that might mean you believe in one God as opposed to two. And you might say, okay, in Sikhi we believe in one God. Okay. On a very basic understanding, that is the truth, yes. But as we go deeper, what Guru Sahib is actually saying to those that are trying to experience the path of Gurmat, as students here that are looking to go further than just interfaith relations, looking in the depth of Sikhi, Maharaj is saying, but you should understand that beyond Parameshwar Vaheguru, nothing else exists. We are all part and parcel of that creation. And if there is just one from which we are all connected, which we all emanate, and we are all in this way connected, in that language of love, in that Shabad that vibrates through the whole universe, if that is the case, then there is no opposition, there is no person or thing or entity or life force with which we can have enmity. And on this level, the Guru is, on this level obviously the Guru is vibrating because they are that very form of consciousness that we're trying to reach. And Guru Sahib is saying, be Nirvair, I am without enmity because I recognize that we are all connected, we are all one. And this isn't just a philosophy that is the Gurus and the Gurus alone to bear witness to and understand. If we look at our great examples that walked upon this earth, there are so many examples of those great Gursikhs that have reached that avastha, their consciousness have reached that avastha, that they live this way. I remember just a few years ago when I was a Monna, and I used to come and see Sant Baba Jaswant Singh Ji. They've left this world in the physical sense, but they're around us still. And I would go and see them there. Astan is just around the corner. I don't know what you call it, Old South or New South, or behind Havelock Road. There's Sant Baba Jaswant Singh Ji's Astan, Guru Ardaas Ji Gurdwara. And when I would go see them, and the Sangat would come to get blessings from that great Mahapurakh, and they would come, and I would see people that I knew from London as you get to know people, and I'd see great saintly Gurmukhs going to see Babaji. And Babaji would give them prasad, they would give them from the Guru's golok, whatever they would need, in the fashion of what was being distributed at that time on that day. And I would see people that were Gurmukhs, and they would be received in the exact same way as people that I knew from our part of town, that we knew they perhaps weren't living on that avasta. And I would think in my mind, Amandeep, why is Babaji giving that person so much love? Can't Babaji see that within them are people that are doing quite nefarious actions? That their actions aren't up to the smiles that they're presenting to Babaji. Everyone's going and saying, Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Fateh in this way, but some of these guys ain't what they seem. And in my mind, I thought I had the drop on Babaji. I was like, listen, if you knew what I knew, you'd receive people discriminately based on the truth of the way that you should. But what did Amandeep Singh know? What does Amandeep Singh know still? The truth of the matter was, Babaji was looking past, they knew all of those things. And many times they would demonstrate their avasta by speaking of the things that we didn't know about even our own selves. But they would receive everybody with the same amount of love. Why? Because Satgur andaro Nirvair hai. Satgur andaro Nirvair hai. Satgur andaro Nirvair hai. Sab dekhe Brahm ek soy. That when you reach that avastha, that even that sansari gal, those events, those thoughts, those nindyas, those slanderous actions that capture our minds and enslave us and make us have judgments of other people in a certain way and act accordingly, Parameshwar Waheguru is above that. What does it mean to have vair? To have hatred, if we think about it, if we have the maturity to look past the person that we're having hatred towards just for a moment and look at what it means for us. We always think that the hatred is about the person that's wronged us, and so we focus our hatred externally on somebody else, which is slave mentality. We'll talk about that in just a second. But if we just look at hatred for a second, on a very simplistic level, when we are having hatred or discontent with how we feel in a moment, what we're saying is the way that things have gone down should not have gone down in exactly this way. And that if you were writing the pen of destiny, you'd have a better understanding of the way things should have been written. In other words, the hukum of Waheguru is wrong. That's essentially what we're saying. When we look at events as they're transpiring and the way that we've been treated, or the way that we presume that we've been treated in a certain way, we are saying that we know better than the hukum of Parameshwar Waheguru. Sadh Sangat Ji, how many times in that moment, as we've lived and dwelled and almost meditated on the regret of something that's occurred, have we come to look back in 5 years and go, yo, I'm so glad that happened to me. I lost that person. I'm so glad that I learned this lesson at that time, that I'm not still learning it now. And then all of a sudden, we Sadguru Sabanada Palamanaida Testa Bura Kyo Hoy. We get to realize that actually there was no vair that was being undertaken against us. It wasn't vair, it wasn't hatred from our Guru. These were just things that we had to go through, that we had to learn. I was recently hearing about someone that had got diagnosed with cancer. And this guy, he's been suffering with cancer, debilitating cancer, had him lying on a bed. For 5 years he was battling cancer. After 5 years of wrestling with this and perhaps nothing else, screaming out of his body in pain, he gets a diagnosis that he's cancer free. And one of the Gurmukhs was narrating, he's telling me a little bit about his story. And he said that of all of the things in my life, the greatest teacher that I've had has been those 5 years being riddled with cancer. Because I wouldn't change it for the world. Because through that education that I needed to receive, he would say, through that time of pain and suffering, it would give me a deeper appreciation of all of the things that I was taking for granted every single day. Now even the glass of water seems sweet. Now even the opportunity to wake and going to the bathroom and emptying your bowels free from any issues in the digestive tract and the pain that might come with that if you're otherwise impeded, that seems sweet. The ability to breathe the air without fear of worry about your lungs suffering under the pain of the task of fatigue from breathing, even that seems sweet. Things that we take for granted. Gyani Gurbachan Singh Ji speaks about that incidentally. They say that of all the gifts we've been given by Parameshwar Vaheguru, of all of the gifts, and there are many, we've heard many times from this stage, the great Vadavans have taught us that Vaheguru is forever giving, and we are forever receiving, so much so we get tired of all the gifts, right? We've heard this so many times. What is the greatest gift? Bahuta karam, of all the gifts, karams meaning gifts, bahuta karam likhya na jai, we can't write them all down. What is the greatest gift that we've been given? Gyani Gurbachan Singh Ji explains the greatest gift is the gift of the breath. For it is on the breath that we're able to vibrate upon the name of God. Akho Satnam Siri Vaheguru. Sad Sangat Ji, but sometimes we need to lose that gift. I'll speak about this situation of cancer and this gentleman that's been through cancer for 5 years. Masingani, in May, she was diagnosed with cancer. We've been fighting, we've had a terrible time of it. I will be very honest with you. Been really wrestling with this for the past 5 months. It's been probably the toughest 5 months of our lives. She's probably endured the most physical pain I've seen anybody endure. She's only little, she's dropped about 22 kg in weight. I don't think she was much more than that to start with. And she's endured that much pain. And I was speaking to her about this. And in other dharms, they would talk about Vair, who would you hate, who would you blame for this? But fortunately, she's been brought up in a Gurmat. She's come from a family of Sangat, shall we say. A family that I was lucky actually to even cross paths with, because we come from very different backgrounds. And so not once has she spoken about Vair, has she spoken about hatred. And I thought, what a powerful teaching. We talk about Surme, the women in our panth, the Singhani in our panth that have the ability to wage war on their mind and not let it get taken by hatred and fear and enmity, which we are so keen to do. We're so quick to pick a fight at even a petrol station. Somebody crosses our path, the sings, and we could learn so much from that settled, patient nature of the female energy. Not once has she spoken about hatred or enmity. In fact, she's spoken about how graceful things are going to be through the Sikhya that we've had. And I just think that's such a powerful teaching, witnessing that and seeing that. Sitting in this topic of hatred and holding enmity within our own minds. Now, this is the beauty of Sangat. You can be your own witness to this right now. As you sit there in the company of your own thoughts, and just for a moment, don't give it too much of your credence, don't give it too much of your energy. Just for a moment, take your mind almost glancingly to somebody that you've obsessively kept in your mind and hated. Sitting in the Sangat, the idea of holding hatred and giving your energy towards that, it seems ridiculous right now. Put a smile on your face if you can feel what I'm trying to say. The idea of giving that person or that energy that you have, that you could give to the Guru or the Sangat, and yet we wake up every morning, we brush our teeth and we look in the mirror and we hold that hatred and we hold that trauma as if we're justified to, because we've been told through Western psychology and these memes on social media that you've got a right to feel this way. You might have a right to, but why would you choose to exercise your right to live in hate when you could just choose love? Still a choice. We spoke about this at the beginning of the Vichar. Now it's going to go into the depths of the mind. When we choose to hold hatred, their focus should be not on the word hatred, but choice. And the Guru is saying, Satgur andaro Nirvair hai. Sab dekhe Brahm ek soy. Guru Pyari Sad Sangat Ji, just to be clear, because I'm going to get called out by some of the singers in the corridor saying, what about our itihas? Guru Gobind Singh Ji would fight 4 battles. What about our itihas? So many times do we wage war against injustice. That doesn't mean for a second that we shouldn't train, that we shouldn't be able to smash, that we shouldn't be able to lift our own body weight and discard it should it present itself as an adversary. Of course. But that doesn't mean we have to live in a fire in our mind full of hatred. Because if there's hatred in our mind, what dharam can there be existing in that place at the same time? Maskeen talks about this so beautifully. We can learn so much from the Gurmukhs that have already walked this path. And we should look to those that are where we want to be and follow them and that fragrance. What does Maskeen talk about when they talk about enmity? They say not only should you hold no enmity towards others, but they say also don't hold enmity for yourself. They say, how can you bring about peace and healing in those around you if you have such hatred for yourself within yourself? Got very personal very quick, didn't it? This idea that we could be nice and kind to our nephews and nieces while we wipe away our tears in the restrooms and then come out and pretend that we're smiling, we know that those who are around us are very perceptive to our true feelings and our emotions, but even still, perchance you could live your whole life and just fake it. Is that really how you want to look back on your jivan? That everything was pretense? Now these words that you've heard many times before, we're going to say again, but in the context of this conversation, they mean something new, such as the nature of Gurbani, forever and new. Be man tu jot saroop hai, apna mool pachan. Be within you. If you look past your own personal opinion of yourself, be man tu jot saroop hai, apna mool pachan. Within you is the light of God, apna mool pachan. If you recognize yourself, Akho Satanam Sri. Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. Nirvaira naal je vair chalaida tin vichoho tishtiya na koi. If you go against this law of nature, if you continue to resist the nature of God, which is all love and without no enemies or hate, then you'll never be content within yourself. Nirvaira naal je vair chalaida. If you want to challenge Parameshwar Vaheguru, you want to challenge his nature and go, yeah, but I know best. You don't know what so-and-so did to me last summer, or what I had to endure growing up. If you carry on throwing that back with these famous words, yeah, but you don't know, and then narrate to yourself through your own ego how you could possibly know best, the only consequence of that, says the Guru, Nirvaira naal je vair chalaida tin vichoho, within you tishtiya na koi, you'll never have contentment. And I like to put it this way, Sadh Sangat Ji. You can be discontented and upset and be full of hatred with good reasons that other people will validate. You can be upset, discontented and full of hatred with good reasons that other people will validate, or you can just choose to be in love. It's your choice. I'm going to say that again. Because we have therapists now telling you you deserve to feel this way. We've got friends, well-intentioned friends, that have got a little bit of education, aside from the Guru's mat, and they go, leave her alone. If you had been through what she had been through, you'd feel the same way. And we have people unintentionally fanning the flames of self-loathing through this victim mentality. And so I say again, you can sit in self-loathing and have hatred for those that have wronged you with good reasons and with people around you that will support you in that endeavor, or you can choose to live in Anand, which is to forget that and at least accept that that is the path that you want to walk. Guru Sahib says on that point, Satguru Sabanada Pala Manaida. Sadguru Sabanada Palamanayada Tisda Bura Kyo Hoy. That if we're on the path of the Guru, if we're under the umbrella of the Guru's sanctuary, Tisda Bura Kyo Hoy, nothing that has happened to you or will happen to you is bad. It's all pala. And I can hear everyone's minds, even my own, saying, yeah, but what about this? Yeah, but what about that? We can go to individual instances. The Guru is saying, Satguru Sabanada Palamanayada. Tisda Bura Kyo Hoy. Nothing bad. How can anything bad happen? Underneath the sanctuary of the Guru, how can we call it bad? There's a great example from our history. Gyani Harbhajan Singh Ji talks about this in their katha. Gyani Harbhajan Singh Ji, a great student of Gyani Gurbachan Singh Ji Khasa Pindramale. They speak about a king from a different age. And this king would have many wajir around them giving him advice about life and decisions to be made in the court and the royal court. And there's one wajir who's the king of all of who's like the senior wajir, the advisor of all of those that are around. And the king comes back from hunting one day and he's had a gouge cut out. Some say, in different parts of Itihas, some say that he's lost a finger, others say that he's been cut really bad. He comes back to the kingdom and all of his advisors are around him and they're pampering him, just like we spoke about those well-intentioned people, right? And they're saying, this is a very bad time, our king's been injured, he's got to get a bandage, I might have to go and see the medic and the doctor. And the one senior vizir, he says, Maharaj di palaya. This is by the blessings of God. This has happened to you. And the advisors, they're looking at the wajir, they're looking at the king, they're going, is he all right? Because you're our king, you've had your hand injured. Because he's not all there. You might want to get rid of this guy. Because tomorrow, someone comes along, he's always talking about Vaiguru's pala. Sadguru Sabanada Palamanayada. Yeah? The way that we say in the house of the Guru, that the Guru only does good. Because imagine tomorrow someone comes to cut your throat, he'll be saying, Evikirpaya. The king gets upset by these words. Comforting words are not always in our best interest. Truthful words are what we're looking for in the house of the Guru. If you've got a friend that's kind enough to bear your enmity by telling you the truth, keep that friend close. The king pushes that vajir out of the kingdom. He throws him out. And as he falls out of the kingdom in his robes, he's stripped of his position. The wajir says, Evi palaya. This is a blessing as well. The people look at this wajir, they go, look at you, you were sitting high on the throne. Now you're in the dust rolling around. Nobody even is going to look at you. How can you be so mad as to say this is a blessing? The wajir dusts himself off and he walks his path in the hukum and the raja of Vaiguru. The king, in time to come, he decides that he wants to visit the world. So what does he do? He takes off his vest, he takes off his robes and his crown, and in the guise of a normal person, he goes out into the world to travel, to experience his kingdom, to see what his raj is from the position of a peasant, if you will. On board a ship while they're traveling, the sails break. The ship finds itself stranded in the waters. The crew take to notice that some say it's a magarmach, like an alligator or like a sea creature has come up and is stopping the ship from moving on. And it's demanding a bali, like an offering, saying if you give us an offering, if you pay the toll, we'll let you pass, otherwise you're all going to die here. The wisest on that ship are talking amongst themselves. We have to make an offering, a human sacrifice. Let's offer someone the purest of which we can offer. Let's find someone worthy of such a sacrifice. Who is the purest we can offer? Be one that has no children, who hasn't fornicated in this world, who hasn't joined with the opposite gender. Find someone who hasn't got any children, that's a mark of that purity. We'll offer that person. They go around one by one, he's got children, he's got a family. And the king, whose identity is anonymous, he hasn't made himself known, he's sitting there quietly. As the crew are remonstrating, they look, they go, who's this guy? We don't know who this vagrant is. He's not speaking up in his defense. Maybe, obviously, he's the best option. Let's throw him overboard. So they tie him up to make him a bali, to make him an offering. They take him to the edge of the ship. And as they're about to throw him over, they recognize that he's missing a digit. He's missing a finger. They say, look, he's not pure, he's not perfect, he's not puran. He's missing a digit. This won't be an accepted bali. Bring him back. And they bring him back over. What's he thinking right now? He's thinking that wajir He was right. It was kirpa, it was a blessing. At the time I couldn't see through it. I couldn't see through all of the one-dimensional pats on the back of sorrow and support from those that meant well, but couldn't muster the gyan to speak the truth of my situation. The Wajid who spoke a sour truth to me, what did I do? I threw him out. So the king comes back to his kingdom and he calls for his servants. He goes, go and bring that Wajid, that one that I sent away, bring him back. He brings him back, and I'm guessing that he's rewarded and he's reinstated his position. He goes, you're my man. You're my man. He goes, but I've got one thing I don't understand. He goes, you were speaking the truth. I pushed you, I kicked you out. Even you called that blessings. Why was that a blessing? He goes, listen, if you hadn't sent me away, I would have been with you on that ship, and I've got all my digits. Satguru sabana da pala manaida. Satguru sabana da pala manaida. Satguru sabana da pala manaida. Tis da bura kyo hoye. The Guru only ever does good. This da bura kyo hoye. If that's the case, then nothing bad can happen to us. So then what does that mean as we look at the affairs of our current? What does that mean about our present affairs, the things that we're wrestling with? It means we can reframe those things. We can take them by the scruff of the neck, as they seem to have us in a headlock, and we can say we're not suffering with these things, but these aren't punishments that are being bestowed upon us. We haven't got this Christianized sense of God looming above us, going to strike us down with the thunderbolt. This isn't the house of the Guru. This is the place of pure Anand. These events that are occurring, we can reframe these things as punishments, and say these are things that we have to learn. Bhai Amandeep Singh, where were you? Where was your mind prior to the diagnosis of your Singhani? How close was you to an understanding of the fragility and the gift of this life? Far. Okay, you've had to suffer a little bit. You've had to endure dark days. How close are you now to an understanding of the fragility and the gift of this life now? Near. That which we could see as a punishment, we could see it as a gift of education. And I know for a fact, as we sit before Satguruji, this da bura kyo hai. How can we accept that in the company, in the sanctuary of the Guru, that bad or ill will, or bad or unjustified or undue fate is going to befall any of us? No. Vanatin hariya kitiya, Guru vanatin hariya kitiya, nanake kiya manuk. Listen to this very carefully, it's so beautiful. Maharaj says, the Guru vanatin hariya kitiya. Vanatin is the trees and the forests, the hedges, the bushes, like the smallest blades of grass. Maharaj says, vanatin, all of the vana, all of the tin, all of the blades of grass, the billions and billions of blades of grass and leaves upon the bushes, and not to forget the leaves upon the trees. Vanatin hariya kitiya. Every single one of them is given the glance of grace of God to turn green, to turn hariya pariya, to bless, to blossom forth into his nature. You'll never look upon a field and see one that Parameshwar Vaheguru has forgotten. Maharaj says, if Vaheguru has within their hukum the hold upon every blade of grass, every leaf on every tree, Nanak kiya manuk, what of you, says the Guru? You think Vaheguru has forgotten you? No. In which case, it's always in the pala, right? And I think that's a really beautiful Sikhya that we can share within our own hearts. We can take that away, what I'm going through, I'm not going through absent the Guru's involvement. It's not the case that there's some shaitan. In other faiths they have shaitan, they have the devil, right? Equal to God in opposition, so on and so forth. We haven't got that. We have the highest truth of Ik Oankaar. And why it's so comforting is that with that truth, we can leave the Guru's Darbar saying that whatever I'm wrestling with, I know you know of. Because you've got me. Vanatin hariya kitiya, nanak kiya manuk, you've got me. But you're always with me. And I think that's kind of a beautiful Sikhya to take away in our hearts, not just in our minds, in an intellectual capacity, but as we wrestle with what we have to on a daily basis. As we look at what we came into this darbar with, whatever dukh sukh we might have had when we came into this darbar, or the pains that we might have felt towards another that previously consumed us as we'd wake up and think over and over again, it's about time that we take a responsibility, not necessarily to erase those events, but reframe how much control we're going to let those things have on us. Satguru no jeha ko echata, jeha phal paaye koi. Maharaj says that those that have the itcha to do this, if you've got the courage to look past that license to live in hatred that the world gives us, if you've got the courage to sit in your circumstance and say, I'm not going to do what the world would fancifully do in this situation. I'm not going to play out this tit for tat and live in hatred that you've given me this cause, and I'm going to jump on that cause and just destroy myself. If you've got the courage to do that, Maharaj says, Sadguru no jeha ko ichda teha phal paaye koi. That if you have the itcha to clear that hatred from your mind, such that within your mind now rest a space for Parameshwar Waheguru to come and dwell consciously, then you get the fall of those actions. Sad Sangat, there isn't one among us that has vair within our hearts, that has hatred within our hearts, that at the same time has the Guru's company within their heart. This is the Guru's Sikhya. This is the Guru's Sikhya. So Maharaj says, Satguru no jeha ko ichda, teha phal paaye koi. Nanak karta sab kich janda, jidu kich gujja na hoye. They say, don't hide from this. We might lead this darbar saying, yeah, I get it, but not for me. I'd rather continue comfortably holding on to that painful existence because it's familiar to me. Then have the courage to abandon that and seek anand because it's unfamiliar, because a human mind is such a thing. Did you know that it will hold on to a familiar hatred because it's certain, and the mind needs certainty, and it won't let go of a familiar hatred even though you're saying there's an unfamiliar anand on the other side, if you just have the courage to let go. And you know what? People have dressed up whole sayings to justify this existence. You've heard the old English cockney, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You better well hope that you can. Because the alternative is that we carry on living with these old tricks of hatred. And the Guru is saying to us, Nanak karta, that the Guru is the doer of all things, sab kich janda, that they know everything. Jiddu kish gujja na hoy. Don't try and hide from this. You can hide from yourself, but you can't hide from the Guru. You'd have heard it many times before, but in the context of this conversation, it means something personal to us. Be kat kat ke antar ki janat, kat kat ke antar ki janat. But that Parameshwar Waheguru knows, when we say that they know the hearts of all, for the first time, maybe for some of us, we're thinking they also know my heart. So what does this mean, Sadsangaji, keeping it functional? What does it mean? Is that we leave our hatred behind. That we leave it at the charan of the Guru. Sounds funny that, isn't it? But where else are we going to leave our hatred? Who else is going to take away from our foreheads? All of our avagun, all of our negative things, we leave them behind at the charan of the Guru. We leave all of our problems before the Guru. We say, Guru Maharaj, I don't need hatred in me. I didn't realize, I was always thinking, why am I not feeling so close to you? Why do I feel so far from you? Because on the one hand, we're thinking of the Guru for just a moment, but perhaps Amandeep Singh, the rest of your day is consumed with hatred, so that has found a nice home within your own heart. And then we come to the Guru Kara, we wonder why it won't open that same very heart. It won't open so easily to receive the Guru's pyar. So Maharaj is speaking to us about holding no hatred towards those that have wronged us. Maharaj is saying to us that Parameshwar Waheguru holds no hatred, no vair with anyone. And then the sikhya that we have from that is that we should not hold hatred for anyone either, including holding hatred for ourselves. And that doesn't mean, Sadh Sangat Ji, and I know that we're here seeking the truth, so no one's going to do this. That doesn't mean that you excuse yourself from making progress. That's not the same thing. Looking at what we should be doing and having a little bit of self-reflection, saying, yo, I've got to up my game. I've got to do this. The Amrit Valla isn't quite there yet. I need to be doing Simran every day. That isn't hatred. That's the voice inside of your head that you have to follow. The distinction between that is the other voice that says, because of what you are, you aren't capable of doing that. That's the self-hatred that we have to get rid of. The voice telling you to do things that you're not doing, listen to that one. The one that's telling you can't do it, that's the one, that's self-loathing when we're capable of such great things. We're capable of such great things by the grace of God. This understanding that by the grace of God is what takes it away from our ego and makes it something not only that we're going to do, but it's already done by the grace of the Guru. So Sadh Sangat Ji, if we have the courage to do this now, I'm going to invite you, because we are here not to learn for a test. We're here to improve our jivan. We're here to improve the quality of our life, to connect to the Guru. The humble benti I'm going to make, Sadh Sangat Ji, I'm not here to do anything but make a prayer at your feet. I make a prayer at your request, is that if we just straighten up our backs, we're going to go on a little journey sitting in the very place that we're currently sat. Perhaps for the first time, we've been shook a little. With our eyes closed, Sadh Sangat Ji, we've been shook a little that actually, just because certain things have happened to us, doesn't mean we have to hold hate in our heart towards certain people or certain events. And we're going to say to Parameshwar Vaheguru, the Ardaas that we have is that any hatred that we hold within us, be by the grace of the Guru, be Guru Prasad, be make us like you, be Sadguru Andaro Nirvair hai, make us Nirvair. Make it such that when I look at those that have supposedly wronged me, that they hold no more weight in my mind. Not for any other reason, but that space then becomes free for me to devote it to you, Guru. Wouldn't that be wonderful that within our own hearts, Sadh Sangat Ji, do we even think that such a thing was on the agenda today or any day? That we're going to be asking the Guru to take away the very hatred that has traumatized us into thinking that that defines us. As we sit before the Guru, we're going to say to Parameshwar Vaheguru, be Parameshwar Vaheguru, I sit before you, I hear, be your Nirvair. My benti, Maharaj, is that you make me Nirvair too. Only that space that I've given too much space to, too much energy to, only that space that I've given rent-free to hatred for, that it should be freed up, that I can devote it to you. Can you imagine what a wonderful thing would be? That where hatred and enemies existed within your heart, there's now vacancy for the Guru's seva, the Guru's sikhya, and the Guru's pyar to fall and fulfill into. Have you ever wondered why we never felt close to the Guru? Did it ever occur to us because that space we are supposed to have for the Guru was already filled with Vair? So within our hearts we're going to do this Ardaas, and the way that we're going to do that, Sadh Sangat Ji, is we're going to recite the Guru's mantra just 5 times. The Guru's mantra incidentally means destroyer of all dark things and bringer of light. It is always the relevant mantra. The Guru's mantra is destroyer of fear, the destroyer of hate, the destroyer of enemies within our own minds, and the bringer of love, anand, and liberation. The Guru's mantra, of course, is Vaheguru. And we're going to recite this mantra together in the best place we could possibly find ourselves, in the Sangat of the Guru. And as we recite this mantra, we're going to say to Guru Maharaj in your own way, Bhai Amandeep Singh, remove that hate. Remove that hate, if for no reason other than to allow there to be room for love. So everybody with their eyes closed. Vaheguru. Sare japo ji. Vaheguru. So, Sadh Sangat Ji, we're blessed to have been in the company of Sri Guru Ramdas Ji Maharaj. Now the idea of holding hate for the sake of holding hate seems so very far from our mind. It seems so illogical. So Satguru, Guru Maharaj is saying to us, Satguru Andaru Nirvair hai sab dekhe Brahm ek soy. That Parameshwar Vaheguru then has no hatred. We thought we were going to come here and learn externally. Today we've come before the Guru, and the Guru has taught us that if we want to have a place, if we want to hold within our heart that love that we just experienced, a beautiful love that our sisters, that Sikhi that just came from our banner, that female energy that then came across and gave us that teaching of where our mind should be, that if we want to have that place within our heart, we have to lose our hate. Satgur andarum nirvair hai sab dekhe brahmi kasoy. Nirvaira naal je vair chalaida tin vichoh tishtiya na koi. Guru Sahib has given that warning to us. That immutable warning, that one that has no vair. If you go against that teaching of nature and say that you know best and you deserve the right, tin vichoh tishtiya na koi. All that will happen is that you will live with discontent. So I invite you to do that Ardaas for all of us. In the Sangat we can share that Ardaas. Bhai Amandeep Singh, I'm no different, I'm just your younger brother in many ways. That we are all blessed to be free from that vair. So you are the Sangat of Sri Guru Ramdas Ji Maharaj, and I ask for your forgiveness and your blessings. For any mistakes that we have made, be lekhe katha na shuti hai khin khin pulan har baksan har baksale nanak pari utar. Vaheguru Ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki fateh.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.